Hello everyone, this is part 19 of What If Naruto Traveled Back in Time and Changed, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. 11.5 months into training trip. Leaving the comfort of Wave Country was the most difficult part of the trip for the Senju family, and they didn't leave whole. Shizune stayed with York so that she could look after the newborns and the pregnant Yamanaka. Yup, Anko's bun popped out of the oven over a month before the group was ready to leave, and it made it that much harder to leave. Rias was broken up about it, and Naruto didn't really want to leave Ino, but they needed to make their rounds during the training trip, and the plan was for Naruto to haration the whole group back to Wave after their time in Kiri. He had set up the beacon seal in the Senju villa, and he could constantly feel it like a beacon in the night sky. He would need to get the beacon seals set up in each city to make travel easier. Anko and Rias had a beautiful red-headed baby girl that looked like a true Uzumaki. Rias was always partial to her Uzumaki heritage and wanted to honor the last full-blooded Uzumaki and Heavenly Mother. Thus, Anko gave birth to baby Kushina and blessed the Senju family with the first red-headed baby. If Himawari's birth at the hospital was chaotic, then Anko's labor was hilarious. The Senju family in the waiting room played hot potato while juggling a stressed Tsunade. Luckily, Anko decided to spike some of Tsunade's sake, so she was slightly more manageable than normal. Only Naruto and Kurama were put through the hospital walls this time around. The decision to split the training group was the only natural choice to be made, with Anko and Himawari being newborn mothers. The hardest part was that both significant others were Naruto's alters, and Naruto needed to be present as they made the rounds for the training trip. Naruto had still not found a realistic way for the alters to be separated for extended periods of time. He tried making blood clones, but neither the Biju nor the alters were able to use the blood clones. Not to mention the blood clones cost a couple liters of blood apiece and over half of Naruto's chakra to make. In addition to not having a proper clone for extended stays outside of the seal, it was clear to everyone that prolonged absence from the original was bad for both the original and the alter ego. Under strict supervision of Tsunade during their time in Wave, they pushed this experiment to the max. Rias was the most stable and independent of Naruto's alters, and she stayed outside of the seal for 1 month and 3 days. The last week of that experiment was sheer torture as Naruto started to become manically depressive and Rias' personality started fragmenting. Needless to say, the conclusion of the group was to continue following the current status quo of 1 night and day per week within the seal. Despite all of the distractions, the group made the most of their time in Wave. Temari chose water as her secondary element and was able to start her level 3 control exercise before she left Wave. She was still far from incorporating it into her battle style, but she was already demonstrating proficiency in the element. She enjoyed the training because it meant more hands-on practice with Naruto and more time spent with him. She was hovering just below S rank overall, and she was very happy with her results. Gaara decided to try the water element as well, but it was exceedingly difficult for him. Evidently, Shikaku really despises water and fought against making it one of Gaara's affinities. Thus, the Suna redhead focused on his wind and earth jutsu. Naruto was his training partner for both affinities, and the two Jinchuriki were true brothers in all but name. In Tsunade and Kurama's opinion, Gaara was firmly within the S ranks now. After nearly a year of griping from Shukaku, Naruto finally found a way to alter Gaara's seal so that he could release the Tanuki. Shikaku made his presence known a month before leaving Wave, and he agreed to tame down his personality quite a bit. Unfortunately, his high-pitched, shrill voice took a while for everyone to get used to. As he spent more time out of the seal, the Senju family agreed that he became tolerable. He wasn't going to win the most charming friend of the year anytime soon, but he was tolerable. Hinata started her apprenticeship with Tsunade as a combat medic, doctor and lethal badass kunoichi. She may have been severely far behind the group's average, but it was blatantly clear that everyone wanted her there, and they all chipped in to help the Hyuga heiress catch up. Hinata had a very solid base to work with, and she slid right into the daily routine. It was good that she joined in Wave because between the time in Wave and Kiri, it provided the ideal opportunity to master her water elemental affinity. In addition to training, Hinata joining the group made for a happier Gaara. The two were both incredibly awkward and hilariously shy compared to the other couples in the Senju villa. It was endearing to watch both of them slide into their relationship and become more comfortable in their own skins. Naruto noticed that Gaara was growing more protective and more expressive as the young blue-haired kunoichi became a fixture in the Senju family. Naruto still hadn't come closer to the state of enlightenment that Hashirama spoke of. He had an overwhelming amount of power, speed and jutsu at his disposal, but he still lacked the pinnacle jutsu of Hashirama. On the bright side, Naruto and Kurama were completely synced and they could send power back and forth to one another. In fact, it was in this way that they aided in Kokuo's complete recovery. Aside from Kokuo, Naruto could enter Kurama's Sage Mode, as they dubbed it, which seamlessly integrated Senjutsu chakra with Kurama's yokai. This mode made Naruto an SS class shinobi and a truly terrifying being, but he still felt like something was missing. As far as Kokuo goes, the Biju had bonded well with Naruto and he truly enjoyed his freedom from the seal and ability to walk around. That being said, he wasn't truly integrating into Naruto either. Naruto couldn't access his chakra for a Biju cloak or anything like that, but he was able to start working with steam release. There wasn't much of a point to it in terms of combat power, but Naruto decided to practice it because it helped him gain access to the fire element. Kokuo was more than happy to train Naruto as payment for saving him from the necessity of reforming. One of the things that the Senju family concluded was that Naruto would need to find a way to release Kokuo or transfer him to another Jinchuriki. After explaining the danger of the Akatsuki, and promising that Kokuo would have his choice of Jinchuriki, Kokuo agreed to go into another if and when they find the proper host. Thus, the search began but Kokuo had already chosen a partner worthy of his trust and power. It all led to this conversation in the Senju compound 2 weeks before leaving. Kokuo, in his human form outside of the seal, sat on a chair next to Kurama and addressed the Senju family. Okay, so after talking about it extensively with Naruto, we agreed that it would be better for me to move to a different partner. Gaara nodded but Shikaku asked the question on everyone's mind, have you decided on one of us or are you going to continue looking? Patience brother, please. Kokuo chided. I have made my choice, but she must agree as well. This drew speculative glances from those in the room, but Temari felt Naruto's hand give a comforting squeeze to her own. Feeling that, Temari spoke up hesitantly, who did you decide on? Kokuo looked at her in a serious manner but there was an air of compassion in the stern gaze. You, dear girl. Temari was taken aback, and everyone actually nodded at the choice. Ino immediately moved into a supportive role and hugged Temari from behind. After a moment, Temari recomposed herself and lifted her gaze to Kokuo. Why me? Kokuo smiled endearingly at Temari, I have come to appreciate Naruto and this whole family. You are the only humans I trust and as such you are the only options for me. As for why you, I would say it is because I synchronize best with your personality, and I would complement your jutsu arsenal best. Imagine a steam cloud propelled by your potent wind chakra. The thought sent shivers down everyone's spine, but it was Yami that spoke what was on everyone's mind. That's terrifying. Melt whole battlefields alive. Naruto decided to speak up. I have talked to Ko a lot during the training trip. Sure, it helps that Temari is heavily synchronized with me. Sure, it is a matter of trust. However, it all comes down to the fact that Anko just had a child, Ino is pregnant, Tsunade is already SS rank, Shizune is more inclined to settle down in the hospital, Gaara already has Shukaku and Hinata isn't really compatible. It was a direct breakdown, but that was the Senju's style. It makes sense to me, Mari. How do you feel about it? Tsunade asked in a motherly tone. Temari looked around the room before asking her next question. Do you think I can handle it? Would I even be a good Jinchuriki? Kurama decided to speak up here. Temari, you are an amazing woman, and you are a truly worthy mate for my partner. We wouldn't ask you if we didn't believe you could handle it. Think about it, you grew up around Gaara and Shukaku. Your soulmate is a Jinchuriki. It will allow you to enter this impending fight against the Akatsuki and Iwa with an ace up your sleeve. Kokuo offered a weak smile, now faintly scared of being rejected. For what it is worth, I believe you are the right choice. Temari nodded weakly. Okay then, what do I need to do? Naruto took over here. Well, we will do a sealing ritual and I will slowly transfer Kokuo's yokai to you. Since he is willing, it will make it a much easier process. I have already chosen the seal that Kokuo wishes to use, and it will allow him the liberties that he had in my seal. The process will be uncomfortable, it will throw your chakra into chaos, and you will need a couple months to recover and adapt to his yokai. That would mean you miss out on Kiri because I don't want to walk around with a Biju beacon for the Akatsuki. You will be safe here in Wave and you can watch over Ino, Himawari and the kids for me. Temari looked sad at the thought of being separated from her lover, but then Ino gave her a squeeze and she forced a smile onto her face. Okay, Ko, if you are sure then all I need to do is ask Daddy. The next day, Naruto focused for 10 minutes to find his Hiraishin kunai in Suna before he placed a hand on Temari's shoulder and flashed the two of them to Suna. They ended up in the Kazekage mansion and quickly went to Raza's office for a very uncomfortable conversation. The long and short of it was that Raza would be happy to have another Jinchuriki as the Kazekage, but he was terrified as a father. Naruto assured him that the transition wouldn't be too bad and that this would need to remain a family secret. Nobody, especially not Konoha, would need to know. Upon getting Raza's blessing, the couple returned to the family in Wave and got an uneasy night's sleep. The next day Naruto set up the sealing circle and applied the seal to Temari. It took 3 days to slowly transfer Kokuo's yokai and consciousness into Temari and it was an uncomfortable process to say the least. It was exhausting for Naruto, Temari and Tsunade despite the fact that the whole Senju family was there to support. In the end, Temari ended up on bedrest for the remainder of the group's time in Wave so that she could adapt to Kokuo's presence in her body. A fiery meeting in Water Country. The shrunken Senju group stepped off the ship after a week-long journey across the elemental ocean and there were more than a few that came dry land. Gaara was severely missing Temari, and he was very grateful to be back on dry land after hovering over the ocean for days on end. The group laughed at the childish display from the usually stoic and composed Suna Jinchuriki. Yami was right there with him, and Kurama wasn't faring much better. It was the first time Tsunade got the chance to see a non-suave version of the legendary Kitsune, which she committed to memory for future laughs. Naruto was glad the trip was over, but it honestly wasn't so bad for him. The cheetah took advantage of the Hiraishin and spent a couple nights of the week checking in on Ino and Temari throughout the week. That being said, he didn't want to leave the altars alone for too long and Hikari was deadest on experiencing the ocean in all its glory. She dragged Naruto out to the head of the ship and would stand over the railing with Naruto securing her from behind. She relished in the opportunity to get some quality alone time with Naruto, who she truly considered a big brother. That two sitting on the front of the ship chatting and spending quality time together became a common sight for Tsunade, Jiraiya and a moderately seasick Kurama. As the boat docked in the main point of Kirigakure, the group got the opportunity to see a truly unique aquamarine city landscape. The city was built in a staggered fashion into the bluffs overlooking the ocean port which offered a descalating cityscape that sank down into the port. The port itself was surrounded by towers and cannons and there was a steady mist that hung over the beautiful, blue ocean city. Naruto could see the remnants of battle, but he was glad to see that most of the damage from the prolonged war had been cleaned up. Mei Terumi watched on as 3 members of the Senju group rid themselves of seasickness of some ridiculous land-worshipping ritual. It was strange for a girl that grew up in the mist and ocean. She met gazes with Tsunade Senju, and she couldn't suppress a jealous shudder. Mei is and will always be a woman of exquisite beauty, but that woman was supposed to be in her 50s and she walked onto her beach like an absolute bombshell. The beauty of the Senju woman was further enhanced as she walked up to Mei with a beautiful family, the only thing Mei really wanted in life. It wasn't her fault that the men around her either didn't see how beautifully magnificent she was or if they were too terrified to step up. Sighing herself out of her usual rant, she processed the other members of the Senju group walking onto her beach. The blonde spitting image of the 4th Hokage was a beautiful specimen of a man, and she knew that she owed the particular man quite a bit. She watched him walk confidently with his chest out and shoulders back as he took in her city with the confidence of a trained professional. She licked her lips when she saw that he was walking into her city alone. Lady Mizukage, should we not go and greet them? It would be improper of us to let them wander around the city alone. Ow. Mei's bodyguard said. While that was what Ao said, Mei heard, Mizukage, improper lady, wander alone. Mei clicked her teeth and scowled, Ao, shut up, or I'll kill you. While Ao and Chojuro were slowly backing away from Mei, Naruto looked up and saw the group standing on the level above them. Seeing Mei again, Naruto had another memory pushed to the front of his mind. Flashback. After recovering in a field hospital, Naruto woke up in the medical tent and some surviving Konoha ninjas immediately informed him that the cages wanted to see him. After getting himself dressed in a black combat shirt and throwing on the remnants of his orange pants, Naruto left the tent. He was escorted to the command tent that was set up as the Allied forces struggled to collect bodies, count casualties and round up survivors. The camp was lively despite the many injuries that could be seen on almost every surviving shinobi. Naruto entered through flap to the command tent and saw that the cages were sitting around a table made of earth chakra and the conversation froze as the 16-year-old entered the tent. Naruto looked at the beautiful Mizukage and couldn't suppress the blush that forced itself upon his face. He saw Kakashi sitting in Tsunade's seat and wondered what he missed. He offered a wave to Gaara who replied with a slight nod of the head and a minimal lift on the edges of his lips. He saw Kuretsuki sitting in the Iwa seat and Darui sitting in the seat for Kumo. Clearly, he had missed a lot. As the conversation progressed, Kurama awoke in his mind and cautioned Naruto that something felt off, very, very off. As he sat down and the conversation progressed, his feelings were confirmed as the topic of conversation almost immediately changed to the Biju. Naruto didn't hesitate to take the floor and advocate for a change to the status quo. He wanted the Biju to either be free of shinobi society and sent to someplace safe or have them integrated into shinobi society to work alongside shinobi. Of course, this was a hard sell that sent the wheels going round and round for hours. It was on that day that the leaders of the elemental nations learned that they should give up on trying to make Naruto give up. After the first meeting, Mei caught Naruto on the way out. The close proximity and relative privacy the two had made Naruto gulp deeply as he fought the losing fight to keep his eyes up. As Mei let out a flirty chuckle, she also placed a hand on his shoulder. For what it is worth, Naruto, I like your idea for a better world, she said in a soft tone. Naruto beamed a gigawatt smile at Mei, thanks Lady Mizukage. He started rubbing the back of his neck sheepishly. It's just that when I met the sage and made friends with the Biju, I realized I could never condone enslaving them again. Mei smiled sadly at the naive boy. Yes, Naruto, I know you believe that. I want you to know that I will not get in your way, but I cannot offer my overt support. I need to focus on gathering my nation back together and do what is right by my people. Naruto's smile fell and weariness settled over his azure blue eyes. Look, Lady Mei, if you won't take a stand then they will plunge this world back into the cycle of hatred. For what? Why? There is no reason to let it happen and it takes powerful women like you to keep the men and boys of this world on the right path. Please, Lady Mei, I need your help. Mei pulled Naruto into a hug and whispered softly into his ear, I will offer what little help I can, but I will be taking my surviving forces back to Kiri at the end of the week. I don't need my Biju back and quite frankly my people won't want them walking around water country. You have all of the Biju, you are the strongest ninja in there. She stopped there and placed a soft K on his forehead and her tone changed from sorrowful to playful. Don't let them walk all over you and when you are done, make sure to come to Kiri. I will take you out for a drink. With that, Mei Terumi sauntered with a sway in her hips away from Naruto and the memory faded. End of flashback. Naruto sighed at the memory because if Mei took a firmer stand, then it would have been a key to preventing Sasuke's rise to influence. Naruto could forgive Mei for her decision, and he had made peace with her a long time ago. Now, he just wanted to cash in on that drink and enjoy getting to know Kiri this time around. Hopefully his efforts in this life had made her a staunch ally that he could rely on if push comes to shove. Tsunade had locked onto Mei shortly after scooping up her vomiting kin off the beach. As the Senju group recomposed themselves, she waved to Mei and the two groups began walking towards one another. The greetings were pleasant and Mei's greeting to Naruto, a big, bosomed hug and AK on the cheek, may have been considered overly friendly. It left Tsunade sniggering into her sleeve and Naruto blushing out of nervousness and terror. He really didn't want Ino or Temari hearing about any advances the Mizukage may or may not make. As the group was walking through the city, it rapidly became clear to Naruto that the people of Water Country and Kirigakure appreciated all that the Mizukage had done for them. This was an easy topic of conversation, so he opened the serious talk up. Lady May, it looks as if the war never happened. How are repairs and rebuilding going? Naruto asked. May paused her side conversation, gossip session with Tsunade and sent a seductive smile at Naruto. Oh, well, thank you for that, Naruto. All of the help you sent our way has been a definite help in getting Kiri back on its feet. Unfortunately, Kiri is the exception to the norm in Water Country. Most villages other than the capital are in rough shape. Tsunade scoffed, what's the Water Daimyo doing about it? Come to think of it, who is the Water Daimyo? May frowned a bit before answering. The current Daimyo is Lord Mijure and he is the son of the man that let his country be in a sustained civil war for a decade. So, I take it you aren't friendly with him or his father? Naruto asked. Our stepped in here, relations aren't bad, more like indifferent. May scoffed at that, more like he is trying to tie aid and support in return for making me his concubine. Tsunade growled, Kurama took her hand to comfort her, and Naruto's chakra flared. Overall, the Senju family was disgusted to hear that, and it drew attention from the surrounding population, especially the shinobi of Kiri. It took some calming from May and Ao before the Senjus calmed down, and it wasn't long after that Naruto spoke. Okay, well him then. I am here and will be here for a couple months. I am sure you have heard about my Mokuton, and I am offering a special discount to my friends of Kiri. I will build houses, set up seal protection and make farms at 50% off with 0 interest for the next 5 years. You just need to tell me what you want and where you want it. May, Ao and Chojuro were so stunned that they suddenly stopped walking. That was massive and it would help her country recover further. In a surprising act for those that didn't know May, she ran up behind Naruto and swept him into a back-breaking hug and she began planting K. Her red lipstick left sensual imprints all over the young, mortified Senju heir. Tsunade coughed, May, my grandson is already accounted for, so please refrain from that. She made an open palm gesture at May's display. May pouted, come on Tsunade. You can't just bring a hunky savior into my village and deny me my fun. Kurama barked out a laugh, Kokuo's shoulders were shaking, Rias was already rolling on the ground, Hikari was blushing while Yosuke and Yami were standing there with stoic looks on their faces. It was Gaara that decided to speak up for the first time now that he was feeling better after his stomach settled. Lady May, one of those women is my sister, so I would appreciate it if you expressed your growd in a more appropriate manner. Gaara's monotone cut through the funny and awkward tension. May frowned before she perked up a bit, one of. Tsunade face-palmed herself while Naruto was still struggling in May's grasp. Way to spill the beans, kiddo. Sorry mama, Gaara said looking abashedly down at his feet. May's insistent and hopeful look demanded an answer out of Tsunade. My blonde kiddo there is engaged to 2 beautiful women. They stayed back in wave on family business. Ara, if there are already 2, then what's one more? May whispered sensually into Naruto's ear. This made Naruto's face go beet red as wisps of steam spouted out of his ears. May was truly a magnificent specimen of a woman. Her lustrous red-orange hair, the sensual hourglass figure, the form-fitting blue dress that exposed an ample amount of cleavage and the power of a cage to boot. Naruto recomposed himself and put an end to the flirty game by using a kawarimi with Ao, who appeared in the Mizukage's grasp. Like a switch was flipped, May's flirty smile turned to a scowl, and she threw Ao out of her arms with a humph of disgust. Naruto cast an apologetic look at May. Look, Lady May, I am flattered that you would be interested in me, I truly am. Your beauty is otherworldly, much like my mama, and any guy would be lucky to have you. I am already blessed with 2 wonderful women, and I would never betray their trust. May's features softened as she listened to Naruto before she let out a resigned sigh. Why are all the good ones taken? The group walked into the Mizukage's tower and Naruto broke out into a fit of laughter when he saw the great and feared Zabuza Momoki playing the role of the Mizukage's secretary. The imposing man immediately scowled when he saw Naruto and he hopped to his feet while reaching for a phantom sword. His hand fumbled around, looking for a hilt that he had grown accustomed to, and Zabuza's scowl deepened when he realized that he still didn't have his sword back. What are you doing here, brat? Zabuza growled. May was about to chastise her subordinate, but Naruto raised a hand and stopped her. With a cheery smile, Naruto addressed Zabuza. Oh, hey Zabuza-chan. I never took you for someone that appreciated desk work. Many sniggers could be heard around the room, and Zabuza was 2 seconds away from launching himself over the desk. That was until a firm glare from Mei fixed him in place. Zabuza had lost every spar against Mei thus far, and he still remembers the lava-fueled ass-whooping Mei gave him upon his return to Kiri. Zabuza clenched his fists and deepened his scowl. Yeah, well, it's your fault. If I still had Kubokuriboko, then I would sever your head from your shoulders for what you did to me. Naruto looked to Mei, then Tsunade, then back to Zabuza. You didn't learn your lesson the first time around. Too bad. Where's Haku? Zabuza was unable to restrain himself any further. His embarrassment was one thing, but Haku was his adopted daughter, and he didn't like this punk sniffing around his beautiful princess of a daughter. Zabuza launched himself over the desk and was intercepted by Ao and Chojuro, who held him at bay. Zabuza shouted over the shoulders of his fellow Kiri shinobi. You stay away from my daughter, you cursed brat. And if I had my sword, then I would make you eat those words. I underestimated you the first time around. That was all. A devious idea came to mind, and Kurama could already tell what his partner was thinking. He gave Naruto a sly nod, so Naruto turned to Mei. Lady Mizukage, I wish for Kubokuriboko to be returned to Zabuza. He has suffered enough for his crimes against my people. I also request a duel between Zabuza-chan and myself to settle this once and for all. If I win the duel, I will take what Zabuza holds most precious. Mei was backed into a corner now. This fool had once again offended one of her greatest supporters and ruined things for her. Naruto had every right to request a duel after such a display, and she had little reason to refuse him. With a resigned sigh, Mei answered Naruto. Very well, Lord Senju, I will set the duel up for 3 days from now. Zabuza, what do you wish for if you win the duel? Zabuza growled, the kid's head will be just fine for me. Naruto edged his head to the side and looked into Zabuza's beady eyes. What did I ever do to you? I stopped you from harassing my people, I beat you in a duel, I spared your life after you violated the terms of the duel, I helped your country with its rebellion, and I sent you back to your country. I fail to see what I have done to earn your ire except wound your inflated pride. At that moment, Haku appeared in front of Zabuza and put a calming hand on his shoulder. The big man visibly relaxed into Haku's touch, and his growl subsided. Haku turned to Naruto and bowed to him. Please forgive my father, Lord Senju. He is a proud man, and he has been repeatedly humbled since his defeat at your hands. Haku's voice was soft and melodious, and it broke the tension in the room. Ao and Chojuro stayed quiet, but Mei didn't. She broke out into a fit of giggles. Oh, Haku, you just hurt your father's pride far worse than this boy here. He. Okay then, Zabuza, you may go to the armory and get your sword. You will be allowed the next few days off for your duel. If you win your duel without killing this man, then you will be allowed to rejoin the 7 swordsmen and you will be relieved from your duty as my secretary. Zabuza bowed to Mei, and then stormed out of the room. Mei watched Zabuza go before turning her head toward Naruto, smiling seductively and nodding toward her office. Shall we? The Senju family followed Mei into the office, where they sat comfortably on Mei's blue couches that faced each other. Mei sat in an ornate-looking blue chair in view of the 2 couches and crossed her left leg over her right, giving everyone a nice view of her long, toned legs through the slit of her blue dress. Naruto, Kurama and Gaara made a show of averting their eyes, while Tsunade just scoffed at the obvious attempt. All right, my valued investors, to what do I owe the pleasure of your company? Mei left the pleasantry at the doors of her office, which made Chojuro fidget in agitation. Naruto looked to Tsunade, who decided to take the lead. Well, Mei, we are on a training trip, and we are making the rounds to prevent something catastrophic. Mei edged an eyebrow and Tsunade continued. The man that was controlling Yagura, a man going by the name of Madara Uchiha, is leading an organization of rank apostates called the Akatsuki. I believe Naruto informed you of this. Mei shook her head, clearly not all of it. Mei's single visible eye peered into Naruto's azure blues. So, what would you have me do? Naruto took over here. Look, Lady Mei, I shared what needed to be shared. I hadn't met you and I owe you no explanation further than that. Mei's visible eyebrow rose. Well, okay then, but my question still stands. What would you have me do? Naruto sighed, realizing he might have come across a slight bit ish. My apologies, Mei, I had to deal with Konoha constantly giving me that look. I have only ever communicated with you via letter or communication scroll, in his mind he added, in this life. Mei held up her hands in a placating gesture. Okay, Naruto, I get it. So, what are we doing about the Akatsuki and this so-called Madara? Well, first things first, he isn't Madara. That being said, if worst comes to worst, he can revive Madara. Second, I have denied him the Kyubi, the Hachibi, the Gobi, the Nibi and the Ichibi. Gaara here is the Ichibi Jinchuriki and he is easily S rank now. For the time being, I have put that organization on notice. Mei gave Naruto a look that said, so what do you need me for? What I need from you is the location of the Rokubi, the six-tailed slug, Seiken. Mei looked hesitant and slightly nervous. I don't know. We have looked for Utakata for the past year and he is nowhere to be found. Naruto sighed, I kinda figured, I mean me actually defying them made them find the ones yet to be secured. Okay, Mei, then what I need from you is to prepare your people. Get Kiri back on its feet and get it ready for war. Mei looked affronted at this, you can't tell me to get my people ready for war and then not elaborate. Tsunade took over and attempted to placate Mei, we have information, and it isn't good. It is also not something that we can handle on our own. They have a megacore, an army of plant creatures and they are likely taking over, or working with, a Wagacore. Mei looked taken aback at that. Why? Was the one stunned question she asked. It was Naruto's turn to play the bluff card they had prepared. Hopefully, he had earned enough trust with Mei for her to buy it. Because they want to enslave the world, or at least that is what Kurama tells me. Naruto nodded toward Kurama. Mei looked at the fiery red man and licked her lips, forgetting the tense situation and discussion in preference of taking in the godlike man. And who are you, Mr. Kurama? Kurama smirked deviously, which turned Mei on even more. I am what you would refer to as the Kyubi no Kitsune. Silence, dead and uninterrupted silence permeated the room until the Senju family burst out laughing at the gobsmacked looks on Mei's, Ao's and Chojiro's faces. The Kiri trio remained stunned for quite a while before they snapped back to reality. How is he out of the seal? Ao asked in a disbelieving voice. And how does he have such a handsome human form? Mei added, bring a tick mark to Tsunade's temple. Kurama shrugged and leaned back into the couch. I have the kid there to thank for this. He found a way for me to temporarily leave the seal. Makes life in captivity a lot more amenable when I can get out and mingle among you humans. Turns out when you mix handsome blonde and dapper fox you get handsome kitsune male. Naruto couldn't help but laugh at that, toot your own horn much, Q. Kurama chuckled, hey Kit, she said it, not me. Tsunade bonked Kurama on the head and whispered in his ear, keep flirting with the siren and you can sleep in your own bed tonight. Kurama instantly quieted and withdrew from the conversation. Wow, okay, well, that is a lot to take in. So, what do you plan on doing here while in Kiri? Mei asked, trying to wrap her head around the conversation. Naruto took over here, well, I wouldn't mind brushing up on my kenjutsu, which we can do after I humble your demon, and I will also take jobs from you and help you get back on your feet. While I am doing that, you can train Hinata on water techniques, Gaara on countering water techniques and I will let my siblings do what they want. Don't forget me, Gaki. Jiraiya added, realizing that he had been forgotten nearly the whole time. For the great Toad Sannin, it was really depressing that the Mizukage hadn't even taken notice of him, not even once. Everyone's attention shifted to the legendary pervert who was leaned up against the wall and observing the conversation. Oh, Jiraiya, what do you want? I didn't even realize you were still here. Naruto said blankly. Jiraiya scoffed, well, I thought we were here to get an ally for Konoha. Isn't that why you supported the rebels? Naruto suppressed the urge for facepalm. This man seriously lacked the subtlety required for international diplomacy. Look, Grandpa, how about I just do what is right and let Lady Mei and Kiri come to their own conclusion? Jiraiya frowned, look, Gaki, I have let you conduct this training trip because you said it was in Konoha's best interests. And it is. Now shut up, sit down and let the adults talk, Jiraiya. Tsunade said forcefully. May giggled as Jiraiya pouted in the corner. Tsunade was the only person in the elemental nations that could always cow Jiraiya. May took in the tense situation and realized that Konoha wasn't exactly in the good books of the Senju family. Figuring she could dig for more information later, and without Jiraiya listening, she let it drop. Okay, well, why don't we get you set up in my seaside estate and we can get down to business tomorrow? Naruto, if you are offering, then I will take you up on your offer to build housing and other buildings with your Mokuton. Naruto stood and bowed politely, as you wish, Lady Mizukage. 3 days later, a demonic rematch. Zabuza had trained like a madman to scrape off the rust that had accumulated over the last year. He truly hated the Senju boy because being a missing nin was better than being Mei's poster boy. His return to Kiri was supposed to be glorious and bloody, but instead it was anticlimactic. The Kiri forces were demoralized and there wasn't even a final boss when he arrived in the city. Then, the worst happened. Mei decided to enforce his punishment once the war was officially over. She took his sword, she took his job, and she took his dignity, all because he raided some island that was protected by some brat. As if he was supposed to know that the Senju brat was the protector of Wave. That was why, yes, that was why Zabuza craved the kid's blood, and he was going to use Kubokuriboko to get it. Zabuza walked into Kiri's arena, and he took a deep whiff. He always did appreciate the smell of blood in the sands of the arena and the age-old story that the blood told him. He reached an arm back and his hand met the hilt of Kubokuriboko, which filled him with a sense of comfort and strength. He growled beneath his bandages as he looked around the arena in an attempt to find his bratty opponent. After clearing the arena, he looked up to the cage's box and saw the brat sitting on the railing just chatting casually with Mei. Damned brat is going to die for not taking him seriously. Naruto heard the crowd's volume increase and he sensed Zabuza entering the arena. Truth be told, he was enjoying his conversation with Mei, and he didn't really feel like fighting. Oh well, a man has got to do what a man's got to do. With a casual wink at Mei and a smirk from Tsunade, Naruto leaned back over the railing and flipped into the arena. As his feet hit the arena floor, a flurry of sand spread, and a small dust cloud covered his lower body. Naruto turned with a wry smirk on his face for the express purpose of pissing Zabuza off. Jiraiya couldn't believe he was roped into doing this. The damn Gaki treats him like the plague 1 second and then asks him to be the proctor of a spa the next. Jiraiya had given up on trying to figure Naruto out and he had resigned himself to enjoy the ride and hopefully earn the brat's forgiveness. With those thoughts aside, Jiraiya stepped forward and addressed the fighters and the surprisingly full audience. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am the Toad Sannin Jiraiya, and I will be the proctor of this duel today. What many of you don't know is that the man, Naruto Uzumaki Senju, is my grandson. You may not know that he was a supporter of your rebellion and at some point, during his adventures he crossed swords with Zabuza Momoki and beat him in single combat. He then sent Zabuza back to Lady Mei Terumi so that he could join the rebels' efforts. Evidently, this left a sour taste in the demon of the hidden mist's mouth, and he challenged my brat to another duel. Jiraiya paused here due to the jeers and boos of the crowd, which were surprisingly aimed at Zabuza. With a chuckle and shake of his head, Jiraiya continued. Now, today the stakes of the duel are as follows. If Naruto wins, then he gets to take what Zabuza holds most precious. If Zabuza wins, well, he wants my kid's head. This will be a Kenjutsu only fight and will only go until I call the fight. If I stop a death blow, then that will mark the end of the fight. It seems like the fighters wish to talk before the fight starts, and I always love dramatics, so let's give them the mic. The audience fell silent in an attempt to catch the pre-fight banter. Of course, it was Zabuza that led things off while Naruto stood there smirking. You Kami damned brat. I wanted a fight and you just had to go and make a spectacle of it. Zabuza growled while gripping his cleaver. Naruto shrugged. Nah, not me, Zabuza-chan. I simply listened to Lady Mei. Truth be told, I could give a less about this fight. Zabuza's growl damn near turned into a bark. You think you can fight me without taking me seriously? You are just a brat that got lucky last time around. Naruto yawned and went through some exaggerated stretches. Are you done yet or do you want to keep digging your own grave? Zabuza forced out a laugh. Oh, please brat. You can't beat me in a straight kenjutsu fight. You aren't even a real ninja in my book. It was Naruto's turn to laugh here, and laugh he did. He actually started rolling around laughing before he got to a knee and started slapping his knee. Oh, Kami. The irony is too good. For those of you that don't know, Zabuza doesn't consider you a real ninja unless you are in the bingo book. Tell me, Zabuza-chan, when was the last time you checked the bingo book? Zabuza shrugged. Wouldn't matter anyway. You were fresh out of your diapers. Ain't no way you're in the book. If you were, you would be in the small fry section. Naruto abruptly stopped laughing and reached into his pocket. There was a small puff of chakra smoke and Naruto pulled out a black book that Zabuza recognized. Naruto flipped almost halfway through the book and began reading aloud. Zabuza Momoki, the Demon of the Hidden Mist, overall threat ranking, A. Okay then, nobody cares about the rest of this one-trick pony's details. Hidden Mist Jutsu, a couple water techniques and the Kubo Karibiko. Now, Zabuza, I am in this book. You are page 97. Naruto started laughing again before he asked his next question. What page do you think I am? Zabuza's confidence was starting to get shaken and he really didn't like where this was going. Therefore, he decided to grunt and held his hand out so the brat would hand over the bingo book and get this show over with. Naruto tossed the book over and Zabuza started looking through the book, except he started at the A ranks. He then flipped all the way through the book and scoffed. Brat, you aren't even in here. He then started laughing boisterously until he saw Naruto holding up his index finger. Zabuza edged his head and Naruto continued to put up one finger. With a resigned sigh, Zabuza flipped to the first page and his eyes went wide. Zabuza stared in disbelief at the first page of the newest issue bingo book. He was so stunned, he didn't even notice when Naruto walked over and took his copy of the bingo book back. So, Zabuza-chan, my little demon, are you ready to get started? Naruto said with a maniacal growl. Up in the cage's box, Kurama was laughing, Tsunade was chuckling, and Mei was looking on in amazement. Truth be told, she hadn't had time to pay attention to events going on outside of Kiri. That's my kit. It is moments like this that make me so proud, Kurama said, wiping a joyful tear from his eye. Tsunade shook her head, but she couldn't wipe the smile off of her face. I think he gets that from you. You know, that slightly sadistic side of his. He just won the fight before it even started. Mei tore her eyes away from the perfect man and asked, do you have a copy of that bingo book? Tsunade chuckled and handed over the bingo book, page 1. Mei's eyes widened and her mouth hung open as she looked at Naruto's entry in the bingo book. She whispered out in shock, he killed Onoki and Han. Yup, he kinda lost his shit. One of his fiancées was killed in front of him and he ripped them both to pieces. Kurama informed the Mizukage. Oh, okay, Mei replied, not knowing what else to say. Still, Q, do you think he is good enough to win a purely kenjutsu fight? Tsunade asked, a bit of concern lacing her voice. Kurama shrugged, depends on how much he wants to play with him. If he goes all out, it will be over in seconds. If he doesn't use Sage Mode, doesn't use my chakra and keeps a couple seals on, then it will be a fight. Back on the field, Naruto was asking Zabuza that exact question. Well, Zabuza-chan, do you wish to fight me at my strongest, or do you want to fight me handicapped? Zabuza growled again, but this was a growl of uncertainty. You mean those freaky markings you had on your face last time? Or your biju, since you are evidently a Jinchuriki? Naruto shrugged and yawned once more, either one. But I was actually asking if you want me to keep my weight and resistance seals on. Zabuza could only take so much demoralization before he was forced to turn it into rage. He could not and would not back down. Fight me man to man. Take off your damned seals but don't use your borrowed power. Naruto's attitude did a 180. Look here, motherer, ain't nothing about mastering the Kyuubi's chakra or using Sage Mode is borrowed. I earned every ounce of that power. You think it is easy to control something as strong as the Kyuubi no Kitsune? You think it is easy to control Senjutsu chakra, chakra that is so potent it will turn you to stone if you go out of balance with nature. Go yourself. Let's get this over with. Naruto held out his hands and 5 seals glowed on his wrists, ankles and sternum. Naruto shook out his arms and legs, jumped nearly 40 feet in the air and then unsealed Benihime. He held Benihime's scabbard in his left hand and kept the blade sheathed while clicking open the safety latch. Naruto looked meaningfully to Jiraiya, who then looked to Zabuza to confirm that he was ready to start the match. Zabuza nodded stiffly and took Kubokuriboko into his right hand. The crowd roared as Jiraiya took a coin out of his pocket and flipped it into the air. As the coin impacted the soft dirt of the arena, Zabuza blurred forward holding his cleaver to his bottom right leg and he began with an uppercut strike. Naruto performed a lightning-fast sidestep and countered with a blow to Zabuza's temple with the scabbard of Benihime as he began a spin slash with Benihime. Naruto's katana was sheathed in an enormous amount of wind chakra that extended the blade nearly 3 feet longer than its metal. The wind blade smashed forcefully into Kubokuriboko and left the first knack of the fight in Zabuza's blade. As Naruto's spin strike was stopped, he spun counterclockwise, away from the block, and dipped down which sent his strike at Zabuza's calf. Zabuza struggled to maneuver his sword for another block. He growled because he was never meant to fight defensively. In an attempt to regain the initiative, Zabuza lashed out with a straight kick in an attempt to catch the brat. Naruto dodged the kick and continued to spin and dance his way around Zabuza while he kept Zabuza on his back foot. The whirling tide sword style was actually a kenjutsu style modeled after the ancient dances of the Uzumaki clan. The clan incorporated the natural movements of the tides into their sword style and the katas of the style could be called a dance. Like the waves, the style crashes into the opponent with unrelenting power. Like the tide, the style ebbs and flows, in and out of the opponent's reach and guard. Like water, the style is slippery and difficult to catch. Like the whirlpool, the style wears the opponent out and grinds them to dust with the might of the ocean. Zabuza could never gain the initiative in the fight. The kid was too fast, his sword was too dangerous and Kubokuriboko had seen better days. The damned Uzumaki sword was terrifying and the wind blade over it was menacing. It was nearly invisible, but Zabuza knew it was there. Each time his cleaver blocked the relentless strikes, Kubokuriboko groaned in pain and paid the price in metal. Zabuza had yet to let his cleaver taste the kid's blood and the blade was starting to look shabby due to the repeated abuses. As Naruto transitioned from a counterclockwise spin with an overhead strike, Zabuza threw his cleaver into a two-handed blocking position. Therefore, he wasn't ready when the blow didn't impact his sword and he felt a stabbing pain in his gut. He looked down and saw a wakizashi had just stabbed through his side. Naruto had dropped the sheath of Benihime and was now holding the wakizashi in a reverse grip. Despite not being hit in a vital spot, Zabuza started bleeding profusely as Naruto pulled his wakizashi out of Zabuza's side and jumped back to reset the fight. Naruto took up the stance of the twin rampaging dragon tails stance that he had learned. Benihime was held out and diagonal behind Naruto's right side while Dragon's Roar was held in reverse grip across Naruto's chest. Naruto eyed Zabuza and threw him a cheeky grin, but that wasn't what scared Zabuza. What scared Zabuza was the battle-worn and slightly battle-crazed look in Naruto's eyes. Well, first blood goes to me, little demon. I could have ended the fight there, but Dragon's Roar wanted a chance to enjoy the battle. Naruto said in a playful tone that contrasted sharply with his serious battle stance. Zabuza grunted, "All right Gaki, you are good." Zabuza ended his comment there and tried to recompose himself. Up in the cage's box, Mei was watching on with sparkling eyes as one of her best swordsmen was getting taken to task. She honestly couldn't believe what she was seeing, even after reading the bingo book. For the kid to be class in ninjutsu and still be so formidable and practiced with the sword was unbelievable. Tsunade, where did your kid learn to wield the sword? Tsunade smirked. Well, he practices daily against Yosuke and Kurama there. There is also his summons that have helped him for the last year. The rest was him learning from the Uzumaki Kenjutsu scrolls. Yosuke chimed in, we never had a professional Kenjutsu tutor growing up. We fought and sparred against each other. We helped each other with the katas. We pointed out strengths and weaknesses of the styles. Then, the rest is physical training and chakra channeling. Unbelievable. What physical training can a young boy do to get that fast and strong? Mei said in with an air of awe and disbelief mingled in her voice. Kurama bellowed out a laugh, ha ha ha, chakra control from the world's strongest woman, chakra theory from the world's best medic, physical training from me improved upon by the medical knowledge of the world's surgeon, regeneration from his genetics and Kyuubi's chakra, and finally an iron will that never gives up. That is how. Mei turned her head to the redhead that was clearly flaunting his feelings for Tsunade. Oh ho, are you and the Senju princess together then, Red? Tsunade and Kurama both blushed and looked down slightly before Kurama firmed his resolve. If and when she decides to have me, it would be the greatest honor of my lifetime. Tsunade's blush turned scarlet, and Mei giggled cutely before squealing like a fangirl. Oh my, how bold. Mei then sighed wistfully, if only Kami would bless me with such a man. Up in heaven, Kami heard Mei's blessing. That beautiful woman was afflicted by the curse of beauty. It had denied her happiness the last time around as well, and that didn't sit well with Kami. The woman was one of her chosen's allies, so Kami began scheming. Her scheming was disrupted by shouts of joy from the rowdy Uzumaki crowd that had gathered to watch the fight. Kami looked over the rowdy red-headed crowd and she chuckled at how much joy her chosen had brought to the pure world. Atta kid. Show what an Uzumaki can do. That's my boy. Make the Senju proud. Hey cousin. It is clearly the Uzumaki in him that is helping him decimate the demon of the mist. Oh, shove it Arasha. That kid is more Senju than Uzumaki. That strong body comes from the Senju. Oi, can it Tetsuyo? Let me be proud of my descendant. He is my descendant too. Kami sighed as a rowdy familial fight broke out once again in her domain. The two families sure did make it livelier. She hosted this viewing party in her stadium hoping that it would bring her realm together, but sometimes the rowdy Uzumaki and their stubborn Senju cousins took things a little too far. My apologies, Kami-sama. Mito Uzumaki Senju bowed her head in apology to the deity of the realm. Haha, gotta love good old-fashioned family get-togethers. Kushina overwrote Mito's apologies with a boisterous laugh. Tobarama sighed, we are acting like this in front of our creator. I feel you, great Uncle Toby. Minato said despondently. Kami let out a melodious laugh that echoed across her realm. It is quite alright you three. It has been much livelier around here since we all started tuning in again. Mito, is your husband still trapped with Sasano? Mito sighed sadly, yes, he is still trapped in the drunken dreams inside his gourd. Kami snapped her fingers, don't worry, Mito. I will have a talk with my son Sasano and get it sorted out. Hashi's soul was never Orochimaru's to give. That's it. Get kiddo. That shout drew everyone's attention back to the fight. Naruto had re-engaged with Zabuza, who had given up on defense and thrown himself purely into offense. Zabuza had used the blood from his wound to repair some of the damage to Kubokuribiko and the blade was looking healthier. That didn't stop the endless strikes from Naruto's twin rampaging dragon tails style from ripping right back into it. In fact, since Naruto brought out his wakizashi and adopted his dual-wielding style, Zabuza had suffered numerous shallow cuts on his legs, arms and shoulders. Zabuza grunted, panicking a bit at being so overwhelmed. The kid's style was graceful and yet mercilessly violent. The Gaki's speed was superior and his strength was at least even. When Zabuza was forced into a block, despite his cleaver's size, he would suffer a minor wound from the free blade. The battle was really starting to take a toll on him, and he couldn't think straight anymore due to the exhaustion and blood loss. Zabuza was panting, bleeding and sweating profusely as he struggled to keep himself composed. Summoning the last of his strength, Zabuza held Kubokuribiko up in a vertical stance over his head and closed his eyes. He focused his senses like he would during silent killing and tried to attune himself to the flow of the fight. Naruto watched on and felt as Zabuza's aura was calming down from its panicked state. He had prolonged the fight against Zabuza because it was an honestly fun battle. Sure, he could open the gates to Q's chakra or absorb some nature chakra and end it in a flash, but what fun would that be? No, Naruto wanted to savor the flavor of a real, high-level battle. Zabuza's eyes snapped open after he had recomposed himself and he dashed forward with his sword still overhead. Naruto saw the strike coming and was already sidestepping as the blade descended rapidly toward the top of his head. Naruto's eyes widened when he saw Zabuza spread his footing and flex his muscles to correct the trajectory of his cleaver from a chop to a horizontal swing with the flat of his blade. In the fraction of a second it took for Naruto to notice this, he was able to transition his blades into a cross guard. The blow impacted Naruto's X guard and it was still strong enough to send him tumbling backward. Naruto chose to relent to the momentum, and he began rolling before kicking out his right foot and flipping high into the air to dodge a follow-up blow from Zabuza. Zabuza saw the airborne Naruto and he dug Kubokuriboko out of the dirt, spun and transitioned into an uppercut slash. Naruto joined both swords together in parallel, forced Earth Chakra into them and enhanced their weight with Earth Chakra. The clang in midair didn't send Naruto higher, it actually dropped him with an enhanced weight onto the cleaver. Zabuza no longer had the strength to counter the rapid change in momentum of his trusty partner. In less than a second, his cleaver went from a swift uppercut to crashing into the ground with the Senju brat's blades digging into it. With a mighty crack, Kubokuriboko was snapped down the center of the blade. Zabuza was so stunned by the severing of his blade that he didn't process Naruto's swords held in executioner style in front of his neck. Before anything else could snowball out of control, Jiraiya jumped in and declared the winner. The winner of the duel is Naruto Senju Uzumaki. Zabuza slumped to his knees and held the broken cleaver up in front of him as his eyes widened in disbelief. In his whole career, his blade had never failed him. In his whole lift, he had never felt this powerless. With his whole heart, he didn't want to give up what was most precious to him. Haku, Mei, Tsunade, Kurama, Gaara, Hinata, Rias, Hikari and Yami joined the two on the field. Most of the group went to congratulate Naruto, who was holding his two swords in the air in victory while soaking up the praise of the crowd. It was truly an awesome display of kenjutsu, and the people of Kiri always appreciated a good sword fight. Mei put a hand on Zabuza's shoulder. It was a good fight, Zabuza. You did the 7 proud. Now, apologize to the brat and I will let you get back to reforming my 7. That snapped Zabuza out of it as he looked to his leader while on his knees, still holding his blade. Her words made his eyes snap back into focus, and he nodded his consent to his cage's orders. Haku wrapped Zabuza in a comforting hug and whispered into his ear. You fought well, Master Zabuza. I am proud of you. Her soft words broke Zabuza, and he let the hilt of Kubokuriboko clatter to the ground as he wrapped his big arms around the girl he considered his adoptive daughter. His head fell into her shoulder, and he fought back against the tears threatening to pour out of his ducts. Thanks, Haku, Zabuza said softly into the crook of her neck. No matter what happens, I want you to know that I. Haku squeezed Zabuza, stopping him from forcing himself to say something that was obviously painful to him. Shush, it is all right. I will always be here for you. While those two had an almost touching moment, Naruto was done showboating, and he had resealed his blades. He walked over and grabbed the severed half of Kubokuriboko and then walked over to Zabuza to collect the hilt. Everyone watched on as Naruto aligned the blade before he cut his wrist open and poured blood onto the blade. With his free hand, coated in a red chakra, Naruto infused chakra into the blade that was soaking up his blood. Within a minute, the blade had fused back together and looked to be in mint condition. Naruto hefted the blade and whistled in awe. That is quite a blade. It is sad that such arts are lost to the modern world. Naruto spun the blade up and grabbed it by the end of the blade before offering it to Zabuza hilt first. Good fight, Zabuza. Zabuza was taken aback by Naruto's tone. It wasn't taunting or condescending. It wasn't jubilant or childish. It was respectful. Thanks, Gaki, Zabuza said with as much pride as he could muster. He then stood to his feet, grabbed Kubokuriboko and slung it over his back. He sighed in contentment as his partner slid into its place on his back. Well, Zabuza, it is time to pay up, Mei said seriously, which caught everyone off guard since her usual voice carried so much mirth and flirtiness in it. Zabuza hung his head when Naruto asked, So, Zabuza, what is most precious to you? Zabuza sat there, frozen stiff. He couldn't say it in front of her. The words wouldn't leave his mouth and he remained frozen in the center of the stadium as everyone watched on with curiosity. What did the demon of the hidden mist count as his most precious possession? Gaki, please don't, Zabuza whispered. Naruto walked over and put a hand on Zabuza's shoulder. He leaned in and whispered, It is Haku, isn't it? Zabuza offered a weak nod in response. Please, Lord Senju, please don't take her from me. Zabuza's voice was cracked, and he sounded on the verge of tears. Naruto smiled, Don't worry. You will have her back soon. I am just going to introduce her to some long-lost family. If you want to see her, you can find her in Wave. Zabuza nodded weakly again. Just take her, don't make me say it out loud. I can't. You will. That is your punishment, Naruto replied in a serious whisper. With that, Naruto broke away from Zabuza and nodded to Mei. Zabuza Momoki, you will state what is most precious to you. You will then relinquish that to Naruto Senju Uzumaki per the terms of the duel. To refuse would mean your life, Mei said harshly, not understanding what the holdup was. Zabuza looked up and saw a comforting look in Naruto's eyes before he turned and looked at Haku. Tears were falling and soaking the bandages that covered his face, and this made Haku gasp. Kiddo, I never told you. I was never strong enough to tell you. That day, 7 years ago, when I picked you up, you saved me that day. I love you like I imagine a father would love his daughter. I never saw you as a tool. Haku had fallen to her knees with tears streaming down her angelic cheeks. She never dared to believe that Zabuza loved her. She never dared to see herself as anything more than a tool for him to accomplish his dreams. She loved the man that saved her. She loved him as her most precious person. Mustering her willpower, Haku jumped to her feet and jumped into an embrace with Zabuza. Everyone in the stadium was shocked by the display of love from a person most would consider a demon. It brought tears to everyone's eyes as the raw power of the moment overwhelmed them. As father and adoptive daughter hug unashamedly in the middle of the stadium, the audience was enraptured by the display of healing and love. Nobody knew exactly why, but everybody could tell that something truly significant happened. It was the raw power of love that moved the stadium to applaud and offer their support to the new leader of the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist. Even Naruto was crying, grateful that he at least gave Zabuza the chance to say that this time around. He never harbored hard feelings against the guy. Sure, he was mad that Zabuza attacked his people, but nobody died. He was more upset about Haku still being seen as a tool. In his previous life, she was the reason he mustered the courage to fight. She gave him one of his core guiding philosophies that he still held to this day. For that, Naruto taunted Zabuza into a fight. He asked Mei to set it up for a public display, and he whittled the man down so that he was exposed enough to admit his deepest, darkest secret. Matchmaker, Round 2. After the fight in the stadium, the Senju family and a couple important people from Kiri had a party at the beachside house the Senjus were staying at. It was a really nice place, and the atmosphere was lively. Zabuza, Haku, Mei, Chojuro, Ao, Mitsuki Ringo, daughter of Amayuri Ringo, and a couple other people were schmoozing and boozing with their influential guests. Stories of the rebellion and other battles were shared as drinks slowly disappeared from the bar. The Senju family members were missing their cuddle buddies as they watched Gaara and Hinata cuddle up on a love seat. It didn't help that Kurama and Tsunade were openly flirting with playful touches, innuendos and not so subtle innuendos. The rest of the alters drowned their misery in booze and distractions since Naruto said that he wouldn't flash back to Wave until their business in Wave was complete. They all fought the urge to ignore the guests and simply go to the communication scrolls. They hadn't seen their loved ones in almost 2 weeks, and that separation was a new feeling. So, tell me, Naruto, why does everyone look so sad? Mei asked as she joined Naruto on the beach. Naruto turned and met Mei's gaze before offering a sad smile. Well, for a couple reasons. Most of us left our significant others back in Wave. It is the first time we have really been apart for a while. Mei now mirrored Naruto's sad smile before she sighed weakly. I wish I knew what that felt like. Naruto scooted over next to Mei, threw his jacket around her shoulders and nudged her cheekily in her side. I have been meaning to ask. How has a knockout like you not been taken off the market? Mei's sad smile turned to a frown. You know, Naruto, I don't really know. I have spent my whole adult life fighting for a cause I truly believed in. I always told myself that after the fighting was over that then I would find somebody to settle down with. I guess it just never happened. Naruto threw a comforting arm over Mei's shoulders and pulled her into his chest. Naruto was almost 6 feet tall, and he was 185 pounds, which meant that he was much bigger than Mei despite the age difference. That is a damn shame, Mei. You seem like a pretty amazing woman to me. Mei leaned into this boy that she barely knew, yet she felt completely comfortable in his arms. It didn't matter that there was a 12 to 13 year age gap, not at that moment anyway. Well, well, Mr. Senju, that is mighty forward of you. Naruto chuckled, but he didn't change the position. Nah, I am just telling the truth. I am not coming on to you. I have two beautiful women that own my heart, and that is more that I could ever ask for. May cursed in her head, of course the good ones were already taken. She shook off the thought and asked her question, if you aren't coming on to me, then why are you comforting me, cuddling me and letting me wear your jacket? Her tone was sly and just a slight bit Naruto chuckled again before responding, because I wanted to show you how a woman of your caliber should be treated. May sighed, but it sounded more like a pout, the good ones are already taken. Nah, if you want, I have someone you might like. He is strong, genuine, and it a man I have come to respect. May had her head cutely on his shoulder and her visible eye twinkled with hope. Oh. And who might that be? You ever heard of Might Guy? May pushed herself off of Naruto's shoulder and looked offended. You mean the guy that runs around in green spandex? Naruto laughed heartily at that, but he pulled May back into his side. Yeah, he used to. I fixed that. He has his eccentricities, but if you get to see the real Might Guy, then I promise you that you would be pleasantly surprised. May had an eyebrow at Naruto. Oh yeah. Why is that? Naruto tilted his head, brushed May's bangs back over her ear and looked her in her eyes. Because my abilities let me sense somebody's nature. I can feel their chakra, their emotions, and I get a sense of a person. Let me tell you this, Might Guy might be eccentric, but he has one of the warmest chakras and is one of the most selfless people that I have ever met. I get a similar feeling from your chakra, that might just be the lava though. Naruto's earnest tone turned coy at the end. May slapped him playfully on the shoulder before she leaned back into him. Why does it feel like I can trust you? Why are you so mature for your age? Naruto shrugged. I guess you could say Kami put me in your life, May. As for your second question, that is a long story. You sure you want to hear it? May nodded and Naruto gave her the abbreviated story of his life. He told her how most of the Senju family was actually made of his alternate personalities born of childhood trauma. He told her the cover story about his seal and integrating his father's memories from a young age. He told her about Temari and Ino and all of the other people that brought him back from the brink. Throughout his story, May cuddled deeper into him and felt a sense of companionship that she had never really felt before. Once his story was complete, May reciprocated and opened her true self up to Naruto. She told him things, insecurities, that she had never spoken aloud before. She told him about the struggle of the rebellion, of losing her family to Yagura's purge and the promise she made. She had made a promise to Kami, Yami and the Shinigami that she would give anything for her home to be rid of the violence. All the wanted was for her people to find happiness and peace. I tell you what, May. What if I told you I could set you up for a date on Friday night? May finally removed her head from its comfortable position on Naruto's shoulder. Well, I would ask who and why. Naruto smiled at her. Do you trust me? May nodded. For reasons unknown and unspoken, she trusted him. Yup. Then get your best dress, wax yourself and bring your, game hun, because I am going to set you up. Naruto said coyly. May laughed. You just want to keep me in the friend zone. Naruto shrugged. If you aren't in the friend zone, then I don't think I could continue resisting the temptation, May. You are a truly beautiful woman. May playfully slapped Naruto on the chest. Fine, Cupid, I will let you play matchmaker. What will I be doing for my mystery date? Naruto smiled mischievously. You let me worry about that. Naruto walked back up to the house with his arm around May's shoulder. They left their full wine glasses on the beach. They had no need for alcohol when their company provided everything each of them needed. For anyone that didn't know Naruto, it would seem extremely odd and presumptuous of him to be in such a position with May. Al was cut off before he could begin his rant by a glare and a growl from May. Chojuro blushed furiously and Zabuza insinuated that Naruto had picked May up. It was only the Senju family that could tell that Naruto had gone and done something totally, Naruto. The next day, Naruto flashed to the Hiraishin beacon in the Aberrane compound. He offered a quick greeting to the Aberrane clan before he hanged and dashed off to find Might Guy. He found Guy mid-run with Rock Lee, and he undid his henge. Guy had Lee continue the run while he sat down and had a talk with Naruto. The talk with Guy went well and the green beast of Konoha was hesitant to accept Naruto's idea, but he relented because he had grown to trust Naruto. After another heart-to-heart with Guy, Naruto got Guy to agree to the date. He informed Guy that he would pick him up at 5 p.m. on Friday, which Guy agreed to. Naruto said he would smooth things over with the Hokage, which a shadow clone had already taken care of. On Friday, Guy arrived at the Senju's house in Kiri at 5:05 p.m. Tsunade, Rias and Hikari were ready to dress Guy up to the nines and get him ready for his date. After Naruto shared his plan with the girls, they were all super excited to set the green beast up with the fiery Mizukage. It was amusing to watch Tsunade and Rias get so excited as they planned the date out and got everything set up. It was even more amusing to watch them throw out every suit that Guy had brought before they styled his hair, trimmed his eyebrows and offered him advice. Guy was honestly overwhelmed by everything going on. He had never been a cool guy, but he was starting to feel cool as he looked at himself in the mirror. His hair was cut into a high fade, the tops of his hair was styled with a medium hold gel that looked awesome and his kimono was pretty sweet. Guy was moved to tears when Naruto showed him the kimono he had bought just for Guy. The kimono was sleeveless, royal green with white edging and embossing, and it exposed a healthy amount of Guy's chest. It showed off his muscles in a manly way and it would definitely make Guy stand out in a crowd. Naruto grabbed Guy and walked with him to the Mizukage mansion. Guy must have thanked Naruto 100 times for caring so much about him, and Naruto let Guy get the flames of youth out of his system on the walk to pick up Mei. After a while, Naruto got Guy to drop his mask and told him that Mei was the kind of lady that appreciated a genuine man. Guy offered Naruto one of his exaggerated thumbs up before his face took on a more mature and serious look. A block away from the mansion, Naruto left Guy and went to get ready for his next role in the date. 30 minutes later, Naruto watched from his position on the boat as Guy and Mei walked down the pier. Naruto had rented a luxury yacht for the date and his clones were going to pilot the boat and serve the couple. Naruto hanged his clones into a typical butler so it wouldn't freak the two out. Plus, Rias, Hikari, Kurama, Yami and Yosuke really wanted to see what the green beast was like on a date, so they hopped into the seal. The date started shaky as both of them were still feeling each other out. It was a perfect night, and the yacht was steady as the two sat at a dining table of the bow of the boat. Naruto served the two dinner he had prepared and was always close enough to top off wine or take orders. Really, Naruto just wanted to be close enough to have a front row seat to the show. Oh my Kami. He is just too cute. Rias squealed from within the seal as Guy asked Naruto if there were any music available. Do you think the kid will be able to pull it off? We never really spent much time practicing the guitar. Kurama asked with the mind link closed. Yami scoffed, I don't doubt he will pull it off. That guy always pulls off the impossible. Hikari clapped excitedly as Naruto went into the yacht, unsealed his guitar and went back out onto the deck. Oh my, big brother is so cool. I love it when he sings to me. Yosuke looked intrigued. When does he sing to you? Hikari put a finger to her lip in thought, well, when we are hanging out at night or in the garden. You know how he is super shy about his writing. Well, yeah, he is shy about his singing too. Kurama nodded his head. If he is shy, then why would he do this for them? Why not just say that they didn't have any music planned? Rias smiled wistfully, because that is the kind of guy he is. He would do anything for his friends. Shush, shush, quiet, he is playing now, Hikari said in a harsh whisper. On the deck of the yacht, Naruto had broken out the guitar and started signing, Make You Feel My Love, by Garth Brooks. His voice and acoustic guitar rang out over the ocean and the deck of the ship, and it wrapped Mei and Guy in its warm melody. After Guy broke out of his surprise, he offered a hand to Mei and asked her to dance. Naruto, and all those within the seal, watched on as the two danced like no one was watching. Naruto continued playing romantic songs from his repertoire and he set the mood. Within a couple minutes, the new couple had mellowed out and Naruto could tell that the real Guy was up to bat. Once the real Might Guy took over, then Naruto knew had nothing to worry about. Guy moved from a romantic dance to a seat on the prow of the ship on cushions and blankets. Naruto gleaned bits and pieces of the conversation and could tell that things were going well. He continued to strum the guitar for background ambience and his natural senjutsu chakra set the mood and calmed everything down quite a bit. As the ship settled back in port, Naruto watched Guy offer his hand to help Mei dismount and smiled at the level of intimacy he saw. He decided to let Guy and Mei have their privacy, to the protest of the alters within the seal. That night, Guy did not return to the Senju house, which prompted everyone to speculate on what was happening. The prevailing theory Mei was a man-eater, and Guy wouldn't be coming home anytime soon. As Naruto was cooking breakfast for the Senju family and the training trip participants, a jubilant Might Guy with a big-ass goofy grin entered the kitchen. Guy beelined for Naruto and gave him a mighty pat on the back, which dispelled the Naruto clone that was cooking breakfast for the family. Naruto got the memories while in the shower and laughed as the image of the goofy grin entered his mind. He finished his morning ritual and joined the ribbing of Guy. Seiken lost. After the fun of hooking Mei up, everybody noticed the glow that surrounded Mei Terumi. There were many rumors spread about the new, cheery Mizukage, and funny enough, some of them were on the mark. Some rumors said that Mei found a secret treasure in Yagura's office. Some said that Mei finally found Yagura and was secretly torturing him. Others said that Mei finally had a boyfriend, which was more on the mark. After the first date, Naruto flashed Gaitaran from Kiri on weekends, which Itachi labeled as a diplomatic mission to Kiri. As things settled down and most of the jobs for Naruto were completed, Naruto finally decided to settle down and perform a concerted search for Seiken and Utakata. Naruto had left Harashin beacons at many of the job sites and he decided to use Sage Mode to sense for the missing Jinchuriki. Naruto spent a whole week searching the many islands of Kiri with no luck, so he decided to talk to the Kunoiki village of Nadeshiko, which was on the southern border of Kiri. After an incident and talk with Nadeshiko, Kurama finally told Naruto that Seiken was gone, and they should give up on the search. With reluctance, Naruto flashed back to his temporary home in Kiri. "Mama, I'm home," Naruto called out. "On the porch, kiddo," Tsunade called back. Naruto walked back onto the porch and sat down next to Tsunade, grumbling about stupid grandfathers and stupid promises. This earned a red eyebrow from Tsunade. Jiraiya had disappeared for spy business a month ago, so Tsunade didn't know why Naruto was cursing Jiraiya. Tsunade poured a saucer for Naruto and had him sit down next to her. "What's got you hot and bothered, kiddo?" After grumbling under his breath, Naruto told the story. Flashback, one day ago. Naruto had searched most of the islands of Kiri and was at a loss for what to do next. His Sage Mode let him sense 15 or so miles when he was concentrating, and he had methodically searched most of the land of water. It was at that point that he remembered a funny memory from his past life, and he set off towards the south. Between Kurama's chakra and Sage Mode, Naruto could move at nearly 150 miles per hour, even on top of the ocean water. He blurred south in the direction of his new supposed target. "Alright, Kit, you gotta calm down. After channeling my chakra for half an hour your system is stressed," Kurama said through the mental link. Naruto huffed and sat in a meditative position as he arrived near his target destination. "So, can you sense them, Q?" Kurama focused for a minute before responding. "Nadeshiko is 10 miles west-southwest. Be careful, Kit. Those crazy ladies almost forced you to stay in their village last time around." Naruto chuckled. "Yeah, Jiraiya never gave me a warning. Plus, I am far stronger this time around and I am not clueless when it comes to dealing with women." Kurama sniggered. "Yeah, last go around I really thought you were going to take that Shizuka girl up on the offer. Your bleeding heart got in the way though." Naruto scoffed playfully. "Hey look, even back then I didn't want to be somebody's second best. Plus, I still had the Sakura blinders on. Not to mention, if I stayed there, it is likely that the whole village would have been decimated by the Akatsuki." Yeah, keep making the excuses. You ready to get going yet? You are my internal monitor, you tell me." Naruto shot back. Kurama grumbled and growled a bit. "Get off your lazy ass. I want to see Tsunade soon." As Naruto began his run, he thought back, "Are you really serious about her, Q? I love you both and it would make me happy, but I would still come into the seal and lay a beatdown if you hurt her." Kurama chuckled. "Relax, Ruto. It surprises me too, and it is probably because you have rubbed off on me over the years." Kurama's playful tone suddenly turned contemplative and serious. "I think I love your mama, Kit. I am just worried she doesn't feel the same." As the wind flew through Naruto's hair, he asked, "Why? Naruto had seen how soon it interacted and how she had grown closer to Kurama. Because I am a biju, a demon, a monster, Kurama said just over a whisper. Naruto stopped suddenly as his feet impacted the ground and he skid for a couple meters. His eyes furrowed and his tone grew serious. He summoned Kurama into a shadow clone and as soon as Kurama formed, he decked him hard in the chin. What the hell, Kit? Kurama shouted. I just had to knock the out of you. You are Kurama, the Kyuubi no Kitsune, Kami's chosen biju, the strongest of the tailed beasts, but most importantly, you are my friend and my family. I will not tolerate you berating yourself like that. Kurama remained quiet in the mindscape and struggled to stop the tear that was forming on his fox snout. Look, Q, it's not like I don't understand why you are nervous, however, you owe her the chance to say no. Naruto finished the run to Nadeshiko as Kurama mulled over his words. It certainly was a lot to think about. Naruto slowed down his run and turned it into a casual walk as he approached the gates of Nadeshiko. He knew that this was a village that took its security seriously, especially when it came to men. As Naruto was 100 meters from the gates, he was suddenly surrounded by 10 kunoichi. He chuckled internally and roused Kurama from his contemplation as he recognized one of the kunoichi. Halt! State your name and business with Nadeshiko. A young, beautiful, raven-haired teenage girl shouted. Naruto held up his hands in a disarming gesture and smiled brilliantly at the girl. His grin widened when he noticed she was blushing a bit. I am Naruto Senju Uzumaki. I have come to Nadeshiko village to see if you have any information concerning the whereabouts of Utakata of Kiri. The girl looked around to her teammates before responding, well, Naruto Senju, before we give you any information, it is time for you to pay up on old debts. Naruto groaned as Kurama laughed wildly inside the mindscape. And what, pray tell, do I owe to you or Nadeshiko? You will fight me, the teenage girl said as she stepped forward. I knew this was a stupid idea. Naruto groused internally, but he only got laughter in response. On the outside, Naruto facepalmed, why should I fight you? Can't you just tell me what you know, and I will pay you well for the information? Shizuka aired an eyebrow, you don't know. Naruto shook his head in the negative, despite knowing what she was probably talking about. Very well, you are the grandson of Jiraiya the Toad Sannin. He made a promise to my mother in return for not becoming her spouse after he bested her in combat. You were promised to me, but if I am to take you as a husband, then you will need to best me in combat. Naruto sighed wearily, it was exactly what he thought. And if I refuse to fight you? The kunoichi formed a perimeter around Shizuka, basically saying that wasn't an option. Look, princess, if you have read a bingo book recently, you would realize that even the 10 of you couldn't stop me. I highly advise that you just tell me what you know. Shizuka looked highly offended before she took out Twin Tanto and dashed toward Naruto. As Kurama roared in laughter, Naruto unsealed, Benihime, and Dragon's Roar, and answered Shizuka sword for sword. He looked bored as he fought a defensive battle and parried, dodged or countered her blows. After 2 minutes, Shizuka got frustrated and started channeling wind chakra into her blades. It was clear that Shizuka was a skilled kunoichi, much like her remembered last time around. It was also clear to Naruto that he was going to have to end this fight before it got out of hand. As he encased his blades in wind chakra, he fell into the stance of twin dancing dragon tails, which was the less lethal version of the twin rampaging dragon tails. Now, as Naruto answered the swords blow for blow, he was winning out with each clash of swords. His wind chakra was bigger and far more potent than what Shizuka could bring to the table, and it was her tantos that were paying the price. In addition, both of Naruto's swords were of a much higher caliber than Shizuka's own. Thus, it took less than 2 minutes for Naruto to lash out with a spinning slash that was able to sever both tanto blades down the middle. Shizuka shrieked in fear and jumped back as Benihime ripped through her blades. Shizuka scowled before she weaved through the hand seals for her signature jutsu. Naruto had seen the jutsu before, but he couldn't remember exactly what it did. Deciding that he would let her wear herself out, Naruto let her finish her hand signs and heard her call out, Nadeshiko-style deep crimson dance performance. After she said this, she launched a series of wind blades at Naruto, who easily countered the wind blade with a wood wall. Despite Shizuka's shock as seeing a wood wall blocking her jutsu, she weaved through some more hand signs and called out, "Dance performance, second step." This time she moved enclosed with a taijutsu style that reminded Naruto of the whirling tide taijutsu style that he had mastered. It was clear that the style imitated dance since it was graceful and fluid with almost no wasted movement. It was made more deadly as Shizuka had encased her arms in wind chakra that looked like a translucent sword. Naruto sighed, maybe he should have ended this sooner. He couldn't use his blades on her anymore and he had no desire to cripple or kill her. He resealed the blades into the seals on his wrists and came up with a new plan. He encased himself in a wooden dome to halt Shizuka onslaught, which was a move that truly perplexed the Nadeshiko kunoiki and all of the other surrounding kunoiki. Shizuka attempted to slash the wood apart but was only able to make small cuts on the tough wooden dome. Suddenly, the dome fell and Shizuka saw Naruto launch some earthen bullets out of his mouth at her. She countered this with the final step to her technique and she spun rapidly before calling out, "Violent whirlwind." She spit a wind funnel at Naruto and the incoming rocks that was able to destroy the rocks and sent Naruto flying backwards. Before Shizuka could run toward the downed Naruto and end the fight, two hands grabbed her ankles and pulled her under the ground. If it were only earth holding her, Shizuka might have been able to escape this jutsu, however, it wasn't just earth. Shizuka felt wooden vines crawl up her legs as they were submerged underground and within a second the wooden vines had crawled over her arms and prevented her from forming hand seals. Shizuka was half submerged in the dirt with her arms completely immobilized in the newly emerged wooden construct. Naruto rose out of the ground in front of Shizuka. "All right, princess, can we be done now? I really don't like hitting beautiful women and I didn't ask for this fight." Shizuka glared at him defiantly. "How didn't you perish to my wind attack?" Naruto laughed. "That was a wood clone, princess. Don't really need to say much more. You are strong, especially for your age, but I am far, far stronger." Shizuka didn't know whether to be pleased or offended. She had given up on love since the death of Sagiri, the merchant boy she had fallen in love with. Of course, she wasn't allowed to be with him because she was from the royal branch of Nadeshiko and she could only marry a man that bested her in single combat. After Sagiri's death, she had given up on love and thrown herself into fulfilling her duties to Nadeshiko. That left her with this: her new husband was now standing over her and she now was bound by duty to submit to him. Shizuka's glare dropped, and her eyes softened. "Very well, husband. I admit defeat and submit to you." Naruto waved his hands in front of him animatedly. No, 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 I didn't agree to your right of conquest, and I certainly don't wish to force you into marriage. No. Categorically, no. Shizuka and the women surrounding Naruto looked offended and Shizuka's pouty face made Naruto laugh. Especially since she was still immobilized and sunk halfway into the earth. Before they could begin shouting at him, a rumbling was felt, and everyone saw a robot jump onto the scene. The robot extended a giant arm for the immobilized Shizuka, and the arm was severed before it even came close to Shizuka. Naruto groaned internally, "Not this creep again. You know, Kit, since you aren't going to marry the girl, you may as well do her the favor of killing this creep." Kurama snickered out. "Gah." Naruto thought back pitifully, "Why do I always have to be the good guy?" Before the creepy guy named Kokuyo could complete his monologue, a giant tree ripped apart his robot. The robot exploded, but instead of Kokuyo flying away, he was held in place by one of the tree branches. The pitiful man looked burnt and covered in dust before he coughed out a cloud of dust. Before Kokuyo could recompose himself, he was held upside down by his ankle. "All right, Mr. Creepy and Desperate, why did you interrupt my fight with the Princess of Nadeshiko?" Naruto asked seriously while flexing some killing intent. As Kokuyo stuttered out a response, Shizuka realized that the man in front of her was a true warrior. She started moistening the earth from her loins and she felt hot all over as she was immobilized by his wood. "Oh Kami. I have never willingly submitted to a man before, but seeing him defend me," Shizuka thought. Despite being humiliated, Shizuka realized that this guy might actually be the perfect mate, even if he seems reluctant. He will have no choice but to honor his grandfather's promise. "All right, Creeper, you have two options. 1. You fight me for the right to Shizuka's hand and die. I don't recommend that one. 2. You swear to me here and now that you will never step foot within 10 miles of Nadeshiko village. If you break your word to me, I will once again promise you death. If neither of those suit your fancy, I will kill you here and now to rid the world of a perverted creep. Naruto growled out, truly agitated at the situation. PP, please don't kill me. Kokuyo shrieked as urine saturated the front of his robes and started dripping off of his chin. Choose. Naruto responded firmly with a growl in his voice. TT2, I see, choose option T2. The man cried while weeping. Naruto looked to Shizuka before laughing, forgetting that she was still submerged in the ground. He stomped a foot on the ground and released her from her bindings. Does that sound good to you, princess? Shizuka brushed the dirt off of her combat uniform and smiled brilliantly at Naruto. Yes, beloved, that sounds fine. Naruto groaned and Kurama was now struggling to breathe after such sustained rolling on the ground, clutching sides, type laughter. Gah, whatever. Look, Kokuyo, I spare you today. Go back to Suna and ask Kankuro to join the puppeteering corps. He is running it since Granny Chio died. Tell him Naruto Senju sent you and you should get off with a slap on the wrist for deserting Suna. While suspended upside down and dribbling urine, Kokuyo tried bowing, which made for a truly pathetic sight. Naruto formed the snake seal and dropped the pitiful man to the ground. Kami, I hope Kankuro doesn't turn out as pitiful as this guy, Naruto thought. Thank you, Lord Senju. Kokuyo said, bowing before sprinting away from Nadeshiko village. Naruto turned to Shizuka, now, except he was interrupted by the arrival of the royal guard and a woman clearly dressed as the queen of Nadeshiko. The women soaked in the situation before his eyes fell on Naruto. And who might you be, young man? The regal woman asked. Before Naruto could respond, Shizuka spoke up and bowed to her mother. Mother, this is Naruto Senju, and he is now my beloved. Naruto looked incredulously between Shizuka and the queen of Nadeshiko. He couldn't even believe what was happening to him. Before he could vehemently deny the statement, the queen clapped her hands together and had a marvelous smile on her face. How marvelous. It is high time you found yourself a husband. And the student of that man as well. It is fated, the queen exclaimed. You must join us for a feast of celebration, Naruto Senju. Kurama's laughter was now dragging past the 10-minute mark and the Biju could no longer speak words because his sides made of pure chakra were cramping from laughing so much. This was so much better than the last time around. It didn't help that Kurama had direct access to his pitiful thoughts, which only made the legendary Kitsune laugh that much harder. Naruto bowed, Queen of Nadeshiko, I believe there has been some misunderstanding. Naruto was cut off by the queen. Tut, that will not do. You may call me mother now that you are engaged to my only daughter. Are these women nuts? Naruto thought, sending Kurama into another giggle fit. Oh, I am just going to get some free food and figure out if they have seen Utakata. Naruto resigned himself to his fate. There were worse things in the world than being surrounded by beautiful, Amazonian warrior women for a night. Temari is either going to kill me or die laughing, Naruto thought. Naruto resigned himself into accompanying Shizune into Nadeshiko village where he drew hungry looks and thirsty stares from the mostly female population. The few males in the village looked pitiful. Naruto knew that males held a much lower social standing in Nadeshiko, but Naruto thought that they would have at least been treated well. Nope, it appears that they were only kept around so that they could provide baby batter. Yet another thought drove Kurama closer to madness as his incessant laughter could no longer be stopped. As Naruto sat down at the table next to Shizuka and the Queen of Nadeshiko, who later introduced herself as Marika, he started drilling at the assortment of food. They at least owed him a good meal before he broke their hearts. Thus, for nearly half an hour Naruto gorged himself on the tasty food made by the women of Nadeshiko village. That was until Kurama finally recovered from his fit of laughter and threw out a warning through the mental link. Oi, Kit, that food is laced with drugs and aphrodisiacs. Naruto's hazy mind processed the words, but he couldn't fight through the haze of the drugs. Little did Naruto know that this was how the women of Nadeshiko consummated their marriages and turned their husbands into subservient beings. Even a man of noble blood like Naruto couldn't dodge out of the responsibility of a child, or at the very least the deflowering of a princess. No wonder these women were cursed to only have female children. Kurama focused now, knowing that he needed to clear the drugs out of Naruto's system. For the first time in his new life, Kurama forced chakra into Naruto through the seal. The seal was open and Kurama was synchronized with Naruto, so it wasn't that hard, but it may have created some problems for his partner in the outside world. Marika was watching Naruto devour the food. She was honestly impressed that he was still awake. She organized the drugging to make sure that the promise would be honored this time around. She had missed out on Minato Namikaze, and she had heard about this boy. Nadeshiko needed somebody like him, and he would produce strong warriors for the village. After he passed out, she would have Shizuka consummate the marriage and take the spilt seed to create more Amazonian warriors. Shizuka was watching Naruto in an amused fashion. The fierce warrior was rather funny, and it appeared that he had a gluttonous side to him. She had her chin posted up on her hand as she watched him devour yet another plate of turkey and mashed potatoes. He was a truly handsome man, tall, blonde and quite unique with those whisker marks. The way he acted on the battlefield showed that he was a merciful warrior and a compassionate man, unlike the rest of the S that came to the village in search of a wife. The two women, and every other Nachikan in the dining hall, were suddenly stunned when a fierce aura encased Naruto in a red chakra cloak. Three tails emerged from the cloak and the boy's eyes turned red with a black slit. After a moment, the boy's eyes cleared, and he began looking around at the women in the dining hall. You know, he said in a husky voice that was laced with a growl. I was going to be nice and let you down easy. At least I was until you decided to drug me. Naruto's eyes locked onto the queen. Shizuka stood up and tried to place a hand on his shoulder, but she couldn't reach through the chakra cloak. Naruto, what are you talking about? Shizuka exclaimed. Naruto's head turned to her. He looked her in the eye before he looked at the hand attempting to touch him. Ask your mother. I am lucky that the QB is a friend of mine, otherwise the drugs would have worked. Nonsense. The queen shouted, you were promised to my daughter. You will honor the promise of your grandfather and become the future king of Nadeshiko. Naruto barked out a laugh. Oh, please, please get a grip, Lady Marika. Maybe if you didn't treat men like shit then you would have more men in the village. Maybe if you didn't try to drug me, I would have been in a more amenable mood. Maybe, if you were straight up with me then I would have at least heard you out. Mother, what is he talking about? Shizuka was now looking pleadingly at her mother. You are too young and naive to understand, Shizuka. The queen said while turning her head away from her daughter and glaring at Naruto. You are bound to my daughter by a pact made between me and Jiraiya the Toad Sannin. In addition, you bested my daughter after the right of conquest was given. You will remain here in Nadeshiko and make my daughter happy as she ascends the throne. Naruto barked out a laugh that unsettled the women in the dining hall. His laughter abruptly subsided and Naruto grabbed Shizuka and disappeared in a red flash, which left the women in the dining hall stunned. The queen of Nadeshiko threw a fit and immediately dispatched squads of Nachikan women out to look for Naruto and Shizuka. 10 miles away, where Naruto had rested earlier, Naruto and Shizuka appeared in a red flash. Shizuka was confused and disillusioned with her mother and Naruto had let Kurama's cloak fall off. Thanks partner. Naruto thought through the mind link before he turned to Shizuka. Look, Shizuka, you are a beautiful woman and a strong kunoichi. Any man would be lucky to have you, but your village is crazy. I am already betrothed to 2 women that each own a half of my heart and I am not on the market. Shizuka had sunk to her knees in confusion, despair and a slight bit of nausea from the impromptu Horatian jump. She looked up through teary eyes at Naruto. If any man would be lucky to have me, then why do you not wish to have me? I can tell that you are a decent man and that you would make an amazing husband. Naruto shrugged. As I said, I already have my 2 queens. I don't need any more than that. Shizuka started sobbing. Then what am I supposed to do? Naruto picked the sobbing kunoichi up and pulled her into a hug. Why don't you go on a training trip? Why don't you enjoy life and all of the pain, laughter, despair and joy that comes along with it? If you do that, then a woman such as you will find a great guy in no time. Why you really think so? Shizuka said through sobs. Naruto wiped her tears. I know so. If you need some recommendations, I could hook you up with one of my friends. I would hold off on introducing him to your mom though. Naruto finished with a wry chuckle. Shizuka shook her head and surprised Naruto with a tender K to his lips. Naruto didn't reciprocate the brief K, but he was completely surprised by it. I'm sorry. I just wanted to give my first K to a man that actually deserved it. I will travel and explore the world. When I am ready for love, I will find you and you can introduce me to these friends you speak of. Naruto recovered and smiled at Shizuka. Sure thing, princess. Your village is 10 miles that away. Now, I am off. Stay safe until we can see each other again. Naruto pointed toward Nadeshiko before disappearing in a flash of green light. End of flashback. Tsunade was howling in laughter and the 3 sake bottles she had drank during the story clattered to the deck as she accidentally knocked him over. Naruto wore a pitiful and woeful look on his face, but he decided to let his mama get it out of his system. Kurama was sitting cuddled up next to Tsunade laughing just as hard as Tsunade was. Brat, Kami, brat. Tsunade doubled over in laughter again. So let me get this straight, you went out searching for a biju and you were nearly pulled into a village of crazed, manating women. Oh, my Kami, brat, that is too good. Naruto pouted petulantly, it's not my fault, mama. It is all Jiraiya's fault. Tsunade's laugh halted abruptly, and she looked between Naruto and Kurama, explained Bubba. Kurama barked out a laugh, the old toad beat the queen of Nadeshiko in a fight. According to Nadeshiko, if a woman is bested in combat, then that man is to become her husband. Jiraiya skirted out of that by promising that his next student would take his place. Thus, when the brat showed up in Nadeshiko, and they recognized him from the bingo book, then the princess decided to fight because she believed she was already promised to Naruto. Tsunade growled, but Naruto added on, yeah, and then the queen drugged me. If Kurama wasn't there, then I would have become an involuntary sperm donor. Tsunade slammed her fists together and sent a small shockwave across the backyard. Maybe I should go pay a visit to Nadeshiko. Naruto put a calming hand on Tsunade's shoulder, they ain't worth it, mama. But if those crazy women show up again, I will need you to send them packing. Sure thing, bud. I hope they try something. Tsunade said while wringing her hands together in a menacing fashion. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.